And when we have these parties, it shouldn't just look like this party. He's actually rebuking them, saying that the guest list is not what it should be. There's not enough poor people. There's not enough crippled people. There's not enough needy, hurting, suffering people. There's only religious people, people who have a degree and make a lot of money and live a comfortable life and feel that they're better than everyone else. Jesus is looking around. Where's the single mom? Where's the kid in the wheelchair? Where's all the people that should be here? He's rebuking them at their own party for their guest list. And he starts talking about heaven and the kingdom of God and the resurrection state being a banquet and a feast and a party. And one religious guy raises his hand. There's always one religious guy who's trying to fix the awkwardness, and in so doing, he makes it more awkward. And what he says is, "Blessed is everyone who will eat bread in the kingdom of God." What he says is, "Yeah, Jesus, it sounds like a great party. We're all so glad to be going to your party in heaven." And Jesus says, "You're not all going." This had to be an awkward moment. This is the best party you're ever going to get. You're not going to be, not all of you will be at my party. And this is an important word for us today. We live in a day when someone dies, everyone feels awkward and basically just blurts out like this guy, "Well, it's good now. They're eating bread in the kingdom of God. They went to heaven. They're in a better place. They're with the Lord." Not everybody is. Not everybody is. Some people die and go to hell. Not everybody's going to the party. And so Jesus tells this parable, which is a little story that teaches a big idea. He says that God is glorious and good, and He's the host, and He's picking up the tab, and He's generous with the menu and the guest list. And He sends out 2 invitations, and in that day you would send out 2 invitations to a party. The first would be to get everyone to RSVP, so you'd have a rough idea of how many guests you would have. And then you'd have to do the preparations of actually collecting the food and slaughtering the animals and preparing the feast and cooking the meat. This is a massive process. They didn't have the kind of modern kitchens and electricity and warehouses to go buy large quantities like we do. So you'd send out your first guest list, say you're all invited, who wants to come? People would RSVP. And then you do all the preparations for the meal, and once everything was ready, you would send out your servant to those who had positively replied to the guest list invitation, and you would give them the second invitation saying, "The meal is now ready, please get dressed and come." Please get dressed and come. And Jesus says that what has happened to many people is the invitation has gone out, and they've RSVP'd. Yes, I believe in Jesus. Yes, I want to go to heaven. Yes, I want my sins forgiven. Yes, I want to be a Christian. But ultimately, when it comes time to make that final official response, the one deep in the heart and the soul, the one that is life-changing commitment, not just a moment, but a lifetime, they have lame excuses. He gives some examples in the parable of lame excuses. One guy says, "Well, I just bought a field and I can't go to the party because I need to go inspect it." How many of you buy real estate sight unseen? In that day, real estate was negotiated over for a long period of time. It had belonged to the families and was passed on from generation to generation. You didn't transact real estate without a long, complicated, arduous negotiation. And you knew exactly what you were buying because you had to fix a price to it. That's a lame excuse. Another guy says, "Well, I just bought a whole bunch of oxen, which are very expensive." Right? These are beasts of burden. This is what you use. This is like buying heavy machinery if you're a farmer. It's like getting a truck and getting a combine, getting a backhoe. You don't just buy those things, pay for them, and then go see what they look like. You go check them out, you negotiate a price, you purchase them. It's a lame excuse. And the third one is maybe the lamest of all. A guy says, "Oh, I can't come, I have a wife." Oh yeah, because we know that wives hate to get dressed up, and they hate to go to free parties, and they hate to eat lots of great food, and they hate to interact with lots of other people. Wives hate that. They just hate that. They'd rather just sit home and watch TV and eat foods that end in Eatos, like Cheetos, Doritos, taquitos, things like that. Lame excuses. Here's the big idea. An invitation has gone out to all of you. You get to go to Jesus' party. Jesus is right now preparing the best party in the history of the world. He is planning the party, preparing the party to end all parties. It's a feast, a resurrection feast, celebrating the conquering of Satan, sin, death, hell through the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus. All who are invited are welcome to come, but how many of you, really, you're not moving toward the kingdom because of a lame excuse? Well, now I'm not sure about Jesus, or I'm really busy working, or I'm in college now, or it's not a good season for me, or I'm busy with my job, or, I have a lot of hobbies, or, I'm trying to catch up on all the shows I pre-recorded on TiVo. Life is just filled with lame excuses. I'm working on my car, I'm working on my house. Oh, we got kids now, I'm distracted. I'm single, these are my selfish years there for me. Oh, our kids are grown, we get our selfish years back. Lame excuse after lame excuse after lame excuse for people who at some point in their life raised their hand and said, I would like to be a Christian. And Jesus says, all right, then come. And you say, well, I can't make it. I'm busy right now. And those kinds of people tend to have a presumption that, well, because I raised my hand for Jesus at some point in my life, I prayed a prayer, I went to church as a kid, I got baptized as an infant, I cried at camp, I came forward for the altar call with my grandma, I accepted Jesus in my heart. Because some point in the past I raised my hand, I'm fine, I'm going to make it into the kingdom. That's the presumption of this religious guy at the meal. And Jesus says, no, no, no. It's not just a one-time decision, it's a lifetime pursuit. It's like a marriage in that way. You don't just one day say, I love you and I'm going to marry you, and then not pursue that person in relationship for the rest of your life. Ultimately, that's not a marriage. A marriage begins in a moment and it continues for a lifetime. And our relationship with God is likened to a marriage where He loves us and we respond to Him, but there's that mutual pursuit throughout the course of our lifetime until it culminates with the wedding supper of the Lamb, the big feast in Revelation 19.